Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Business Without Borders. My name is Angie Snowball Thompson with Living in America, and I'm here today with a beautiful guest, Patricia Cardoso from Amarca in Portugal. So today we are going to go through Portugal. As you know, if you've seen the show before, our purpose is to talk to real people that are really living in these different countries, in these different cultures, and understand what it's like for us as Americans, Latvians, Germans, whatever, wherever we're coming from, what it will be like to work with these countries. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do, because someone asked me about this last time, they said, well, Angie, that was great, but I honestly don't even know where that is. So I'm going to start today with sharing where Portugal is. So it is in Europe. And of course, Patricia is going to go through a lot more of this for us. But here we go. And then the other thing that I found that I thought might be interesting for my Americans it's like a little size map here. So here's the US, and Portugal is roughly the size of Maine. So it's up here in the corner. So that is where we are going today, is Portugal. And I would like to welcome my guest, Patricia. Patricia, tell us just a little bit about you, where you're from, and what you do. And welcome to my show. Thanks for being here.
Okay. Thank you, Angie, first of all, for having me. I'm really happy to be here with you. One of the things that we got off of this bad season that we are going through is about knowing everyone, or at least a lot of people in the whole world.
Okay.
Sorry. It's okay. And it's just amazing to know you. So my name is Patricia, and I live in the south of Portugal. It's an amazing country in Europe, with amazing beaches and amazing people. So it's about it. And it's, how can I tell you more about my country? You should come here, or to live, or to travel, just to know a little bit more about us, because the best things we have, they taste good, they smell good, they feel good. So it's the best experience that I can tell you. It's to come here and try it.
Well, and obviously it's amazing because, it's been there forever. I had some comments that said, wow, it's really the oldest country in Europe. I said, oh, it really is. I looked that up. I was very surprised to see that. The history of Portugal is really rich. There's a great deal of things that happen there. And what I think is interesting about that, though, is the language, of course, because that's my thing, but Portuguese is not widely spoken. And I thought, man, if you're the oldest country in Europe, I thought maybe everybody would be speaking Portuguese. But really, Portuguese is reserved primarily for Portugal and Brazil. Is that right?
Yes, you have other countries in the world speaking Portuguese, but it's more, if you think about it, English, it's less difficult than Portuguese. Portuguese, we have some, if we think about it, some new, there are some types of sentences that are very difficult to be pronounced. We have English people living here their whole lives, and they're old now, and they still don't catch that small thing, and you have the verbs, they're difficult by themselves, but we can manage to speak with everyone. And I guess there's another reason to that. It's because Portuguese people, you can be someone from all over the world. I may not speak your language, but I will find a way to communicate with you. It's who we are. You can always find a Portuguese guy trying to speak Spanish, trying to speak Russian, trying to speak German, trying to speak English. Even if they don't know it, we will mimic, we will do what it takes so we can communicate with the person next to us.
Yeah, I see that. It's an extremely friendly culture. Everybody's excited to talk to you, excited to meet with you. So I think that's really fun. I just want to take a second really quickly, because it is a live show. So we do get a few people that say hi. And this is a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Scott Cuthbertson, the Scotland's Magician, says hi. So hey, Scott, good afternoon. I wanted to thank everybody for joining us, because you really don't want to miss. One of the reasons I wanted to have Patricia come on the show was I was in another meeting with her, and she gave this amazing presentation of Portugal. And I thought, in 5 minutes, I learned more about Portugal than I've known my entire life. So I was going to let Patricia share whatever you're willing to share.
Okay.
Of the food and the
I'm
landscape.
going to share here my screen. Okay, this was the presentation that I used to speak about Portugal. Okay,
Yeah.
so here we go. This presentation started in a different way. I was trying to make some kind of history out of our country, and I would tell people that I'm going to tell them about a country that started in 1139 with King Afonso de Henriques, with adventurous people. You know, we traveled to discover the world in 15th century and the 16th century. You know, we went from here to all of these places by boat. So you can see how wild we are, you know, of adventures. This country has amazing things that we turned in 30 years the worst child mortality rate in the world to be the 4th worldwide. And in 8 years, we built the second most important European register system of bone marrow for donors, which is indispensable in the fight against leukemic diseases, is the second worldwide in kidney transplantation and world leader in liver transplants, and is also world leader in the application of immediate implants and fixed dental prostheses for total edentulous patients. So you can see how tough we are when we have a purpose. We do our best to get there. So we have a country that developed the software to eliminate paper as a support for clinical records in hospitals. The software name is Alert, if I'm not mistaken, that invented and developed the world's first prepaid mobile payment system. That is world leader in renewable energy sector, the 4th largest wind energy producer in the world, which is also building the largest dam plan at European level, EDP, that has a company that corrects and detects the flaws in NASA's computer system. So in health, we do our best. And when we work at systems and softwares, we are also very tough people.
Yeah, and all this coming from a place that's the size of Maine, American guys.
Yes.
All of this. This is crazy.
I usually say a sentence that there always that every company in the world should have a Portuguese guy working there, and there's a small reason. We sometimes don't think in longevity. You know, we are very short. It's not short when I tell it, but if you have a problem, an immediate problem that needs an immediate solution, you find the Portuguese guy. You know, you'll be the one finding that solution for that problem now. So you keep doing while you are working on a long-term solution. Okay, so that's a bit of who we are. Okay, so we also put shoes in 100 million people worldwide and produce the second most expensive quality footwear right after Italy. We manufacture innovative sheets with different odors and anti-germs properties where, for example, 30 million Americans sleep. And is the world leader in power transformer technology, FSEC, that revolutionized the concept of toilet paper with Renover. For me, that have a company, design company, this is a great way of turning toilet paper into something completely different, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's funny.
And we developed an innovative system of paying tolls on motorways. In culture, we are also very cultural people, artists. We have the Nobel Prize for Literature, José Saramago, one of Mozart's most notable interpreters, Maria João Pires. We have Fado and Amália Rodrigues, several internationally recognized painters and sculptors, Paulo Rego, Júlio Pomar, among others. And last but not least, and I guess this one almost everyone knows, one of the best football players of all times, Cristiano Ronaldo. We are European champions soccer in 2016. With COVID, we are the only one that have that title for 5 years.
Oh, that's funny.
So, and here we go. This is one of the things that amazes me about Portugal. It's the difference that you can have in nature. You know, you can come to Portugal, and we have two amazing islands, Madeira and Açores. It's Açores and Madeira. You can go from the north of Portugal, Porto, going through Aveiro, our capital, Lisbon, the beautiful Alentejo. Here we have Alqueva, and you come on to Algarve, where I live, and this is the beach of Falésia. It was recognized as the 13th place of the travel's choice from TripAdvisor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's an amazing. I mean, you have a lot of amazing beaches here. We have,
and you live there?
And I live here, and this is my weekends. When the government does not say that I need to stay home, almost every weekend I go, even if it's not sunny, I go to smell the sea, and then I come back.
Oh, I would too. I love that. I don't even like being in the sea, to be perfectly honest. I like being under it if I'm scuba diving, but I don't really like swimming in the ocean, but I love being there. It's the smell and the sound. Oh, I love it.
It's the same here. So it's relaxing. It's kind of like taking a pill to relax.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I see wine. Speaking of relaxing, looks like wine is next. That might be my next favorite subject.
Yes, we have amazing wines. I guess we have one of that was considered one of the best. I don't recall the name, and it's not very expensive, so that's another good thing, you know.
Yes.
Okay, speaking about food and wine, we are soup lovers. This is called verde. It's my favorite also. It's amazing. We eat it on New Year's Day, you know, on the evening. It's a tradition for some. We have codfish, and you can produce this kind of food in 1,000 different ways. Every single one is delicious. You can eat octopus with olive oil. Ooh. I love that one also. Cozida portuguesa, I don't know how to translate it. It's a lot of meat and things that we use here, so it's very good also. And if you go to Porto, you can always eat a francesinha. It's also very good. All of this with great wine and a lot more. And after this, we have, for those who have a sweet tooth, we have sweet rice. And I'm going to say most of these in Portuguese because I don't know how to translate it. Ovos moles, they're very sweet, amazing. When you go to Aveiro, you can have these ones, or all over the country. You have papilhos, a carrot pie, and this one, pastel de nata. It's known in the whole world, so it's also very, very nice with an espresso. It's a perfect match. And this country has 10.3 million inhabitants, which it's not much if you think about it. And it's known worldwide. We already spoke about it by the welcoming people that we have. We are very welcomers. We know how to treat people. And that's why we also have we have a tradition of tourism on all of our country. And this is country, it's Portugal, and this is our flag.
What is that? What is your flag? What does that mean? Like, what is the circle and the coat of arms or shield there?
These things are regarding to Christ, okay? And you have here the castles, a few castles, okay? So, and, you know, and it's very, very illustrative. And if you think about it, it's kind of the same thing that we have in Portugal, you know. We are very with details. We take details very fondly, and we take them to the maximum and try to do our best in the small things.
Yeah, I was wondering about that when I looked it up. I'm like, there's a lot of things in that little piece there. I thought, oh, I'm just going to wait and let her tell me. That's interesting, though, too, that you said relate it to Christ, because a lot of the European countries and, well, actually, even South America and whatnot, they're still very, very founded on Catholicism and Christian base. And in the U.S., where it's almost becoming taboo, to talk about those things. I thought, man, they had to take it out of their flags, out of their. It'd be impossible to separate.
It's I'm going to have a problem to translate it a bit more, because this is the shield, Portuguese shield. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and it's also an astronomy, an instrument of astronomy applied to navigation.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I don't know how to say bezant in you have the small blue shields and the 5 bezant. I don't know the how to translate it. That represent, you have the 5 Christ. Let me check here my translator. Sorry, this is a bit more than my English can manage.
Which your English is wonderful, by the way, and I am the English teacher, so.
Okay, thank you. Once I had someone telling me, you have an amazing American. It was an English teacher telling me that I had an amazing American, so that's why I didn't have better scores. It's Christ source makes sense. Christ source, the 5 Christ source.
Yeah, it's the 5, like where he was crucified in his hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And you have these are a few of our castles. Okay, in Portugal, okay. So you can visit them all. I guess it's about it. And then you have the blue and the red. It was from the party, that Republican Party, and the associated movements that made the revolution, Republican Revolution, in the 5th of October, 1910.
Wow, that's crazy. You're very, very good at this history stuff. And that's something that really caught my attention too. 10 million people. That's really not that many people. When you think about the beginning of the presentation and all the things that have come and are coming from Portugal, it's just 10 million people. It's the size of Maine. It's really amazing. And it resonates that it makes sense. If you have a problem, someone in Portugal is going to solve it, because you're obviously like on it. Interesting.
Yes, and we have a lot of people going, even our students going outside of Portugal. I guess it's when you're in a small space, you need to know who is in your room, right? And we need to grow, and Portuguese people are very fond of that. Even in the 80s, 70s, we had a lot of Portuguese people going to Germany, going to France, going to England, to build their lives. Then they would come to Portugal. You still have that in not such a big, so much people, right? But you still have that happening, people going outside of Portugal. I have someone that works with me, that she works for a company in Manchester. She also does work for me, but she went outside of Portugal looking for new opportunities, new ways of doing things. And people, then they bring that knowledge to our country, and we are able to do better things. So
that's so fun. It's interesting because someone who's watching today, he's very excited about custard tarts, by the way. But Rue Piera, he was on Business Without Borders last week because we went to South Africa, but he's originally Portuguese. So you talk about having people that are bringing that knowledge back, that are leaving and are still very strongly affiliated. And I forget, he told me how long he'd been in South Africa. I think it was like 42 years or something. But his affiliation of Portugal is like he never left. I mean, I'm Portuguese. So that's really, really strong connection there. So now let's talk a little bit about you too. One of the other reasons I like working with Patricia is because everyone knows I enjoy working with marketing. I like working with the words and finding your message and telling your story. And Patricia is the perfect balance to what I do because she's very involved in that as well. We are 100% in agreement of finding your why, which she's really great at, though. In addition to what I do, is the visuals. So she's really, really good at branding, and I love seeing some of her work. And really interesting backstory too of how you got there. It was not an easy journey, right? So that's another thing I think is fun to share with people, is like, just because you don't know where you are yet doesn't mean you're not going to get there. Because Patricia, you started out in financing, is that right? Accounting and finance?
Yes, I can even relate with your telling before, because at school I was one of those people that they would ask me, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I would never have an answer. I really liked sports, but every time I tried to do sports, it didn't happen. Or I had an injury in my knee, or I had an injury in my foot. So everything I did to try to go to sports never happened. So then I was pretty good with numbers. And let's try economics, because I didn't feel like an artist, and it was one of the things that I could go to, but I went to economics. Then I went to school. I did the 4 years of a degree. And first job that I got was in accounting, and I did 6 months of that. And talking about our why, I thought, this is not going to happen for my whole life. So this is pretty good. Okay, it's really nice that I know how to find the VAT and how to do that and this and that. But doing this my whole life, in an office, just typing numbers, didn't felt right. So
Right.
look at me. I like people. I like to go around. I like to speak. If I go somewhere, sometimes my husband says something like, just we're going there. That thing that husbands have, that women are going into stores and coming back and into stores. That doesn't happen with me. I don't like shopping, but I really like meeting people on the shopping. So everywhere I go, I speak with everyone, and even if I don't know him, I start speaking with the person next to me. So he always says to me, you always have a conversation. So do you ever stop? And how can you imagine? I would not be happy doing accounts. So then I went to a design company. The oldest, or one of the oldest here in Algarve, more than 30 years. I started in the financial department, and then with the immobilier real estate crisis in 2010, they asked me to go to the doing proposals for our clients. And I start, understanding a bit more of the work that was done there. And I kind of liked it, vinyl and branding and this and that. And this is a funny thing to do, but I felt like it wouldn't be able for me to grow a bit more. So I quit my job and I went to a printing company. And just with paper and all of those things, I learned a lot. I started going to business meetings with people, and I started liking it. I had my second kid then. Then I skipped to a design company that I met in these business meetings, and I was there almost 4 years. And somehow I felt like, that thing of growing, I felt like I wasn't growing anymore. So I went on holidays for months with my kids. Then I met my business partner, Teresa, and we kind of mixed together well. I really liked the work, the design, and I thought, okay, I can have the clients for this. It's an easy design to sell because it's really, really, really clean. And it always has a meaning. I always ask, what is this doing here, and what is that doing there? And she explains me, And for me, this is amazing. There is nothing done just because it's done. It's not because it's pretty. It's because it makes sense. It's proper for the client. It's proper for the brand. And then Wheel of Brands, there is Amarca, was born, almost 3 years ago.
I just love this story. I love it because it's one of the reasons I recommend Amarca whenever I can, because too many marketers take on these projects and they give you this logo. Even I remember it was a client of mine and I was kind of the go-between, and he needed a logo. They just didn't listen. They just didn't hear what we were about. She must have given me 30 different options. And I said, look, I'm really sorry, but none of this is what I'm saying. These mean nothing to me. This is what the company is trying to say. And there's so much time and so much money, and time is money, right? Wasted because people don't pay attention to the story and the meaning behind it. And it all starts with your branding. What are you going to look like? And it has to be a simple enough story that everyone understands, right? So that's one of the reasons I really like. I like your story. I also like your story because, culture. One of the reasons I don't like the word culture coach, even though I'm technically a certified culture coach, the reason I don't like it is because I feel like people generalize too much, right? Like, oh, you're German, so you must be grumpy and serious all the time. I promise you, I know some really party hardy Germans, right? Like more than the somber ones. So it's not just because they like put you in a box is one of the reasons I don't like it. But one of the reasons I do like it is in a situation like this, you can sometimes see like the culture emerging. So one of the things you brought up was Portuguese culture is someone where we're going to find a solution. You said I didn't feel like I was growing. I thought, man, that's totally the Portuguese culture of I have to grow, I have to solve something, I have to do something. And I thought that was a really good example of why it's interesting to get to learn the cultures, because it doesn't mean that you're going to follow everything that's in the book from a Portuguese person. But it does mean that a lot of times it helps me understand you better. It helps me understand your motivation and respect you more, because I see like, oh, that's a great characteristic and quality to have and understand. And I really didn't know that about the Portuguese culture either. I mean, I knew what you were like, but I didn't know like culturally that came together. So one of the reasons I love doing these shows. So next question for you. Don't get stressed. It's a very easy one. But one of the reasons, like you said, we know each other because of COVID, right? COVID has been devastating. It is still devastating, particularly in India right now. Some really terrible things happening. But I like to focus on what the good parts that we can find. And one of those is that it's been much easier to work globally. And there's been a lot of new global opportunities, particularly with our BNI network, but also outside. How has this pandemic, how has that changed your business and your way to do business?
I found a new way of doing business, but also I found one thing in particular that I feel, and in BNI, I felt it because we already know nowadays someone for every point of the world. And bottom all, if we take cultures off, if we take away some ways of thinking, because all of us are a bit, how can I say, touched by our cultures, the way of thinking of our parents, of our grandparents, of the society behind us, we are all the same. We want, most of us, we want the same things. And what moves us, it's the same things, which is amazing. So if we take everything off about it, we can see that not COVID, but using the technology that we have in our hands makes us do what we did in small places globally. This was already possible, but we weren't stressed enough to use it. I remember that a year ago, when COVID came, my clients were closing doors. I told a few of them, you should not do this, not now, because you're going to spend the money and you'll probably need it later. because what marketing campaign would they do, for Parents' Day if everything was going to be closed afterwards? So, we had all that point here that was kind of scary. But I'm going to speak about Portugal now. We were late from probably America, United States, Germany, 5 to 10 years using technology. If we're not now base to base, do you understand me?
Really?
So
Yeah, you think you were really like 5 years behind us? Because I feel
yes,
like maybe I'm just old and I was behind it too. I guess the technology was there, but I felt the same way. Like I even had a few online English lessons with some of my students who had lived in the United States but moved back to their home country of Brazil or Germany. And I still was not in the mindset of online lessons. I was still in the mindset of, I don't know how this is going to work. Like you have to be here. The way that I teach, I like to talk. I just didn't see. And now that I'm doing it full time online, I think, how did I not see that? How did I not see that this is no different at all? you know?
because it was just you. If you felt the need, because what happens with me is I had a few clients that I would you do a Skype with me? I didn't use Zoom, so would you do a Skype with me and we'd solve this? And they would tell me, come on, come here, I'll buy you lunch. And I would do 50 kilometers to go to meet them and the 50 kilometers back. In Algarve, it's not that much. You go on the rapid road, so that's not that much. But if you think about it, it's an hour and then an hour
Right.
to eat. So you have 2 hours, spending on the road. And the biggest problem is that it's the mindset, the global mindset of the people around you. We picked up people that usually didn't use a computer. And now they are doing Zoom meetings with us. They
That's
didn't know
true
what
too.
an email, they didn't know how to use the email most of the times. And now they are using Zoom and doing meetings, in Lisbon and in Porto. And you think about it, so this is quite amazing,
Yeah.
It's not COVID, it's not anything, but, the possibilities that, the stress that we were put in to change the way we do things, at least that's the good thing for
Yeah.
me.
The sense of
I'm doing it.
urgency.
Yeah, I'm doing it worldwide, and I'm doing more with less time because people don't mind doing a Zoom now. Or sometimes we have no choice if the government says you need to be home. So what are you going to do? You stay home, but you won't
Yeah.
stop working because you need the money.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to figure it out. It's great. That's another thing that I love about this is not only do I know you, but we have a real opportunity to work together. And when it
Yeah.
comes to marketing is it's a huge holistic animal in what you're doing. And there's always arguments of, well, marketing doesn't matter because of the product. And if you don't have this, you don't have that. But marketing is a huge aspect of any business. It just is. And what's neat about what we can do now is I don't have to be a whole marketing company in order to offer my client a full marketing solution, because here in Cincinnati, Ohio, which you would never think my partner might be in Portugal, right? So, but it's totally doable. There's no difference with me working with you than there is with me working with another marketer down the street. So the opportunities have really, really grown to, and I think it's even better because we're adding new perspectives. If I put 10 people on a team, all from Cincinnati, Ohio, not only do we come from the same culture of America, we came from the same subculture of America. We're all in some ways, now everybody's going to have their creativity, everybody's going to have their different ideas, but in some ways, our thinking is definitely narrowed by where we are. Well, with marketing, that's the worst thing you can do, right? Because it's all about being creative. So you add someone from Portugal, someone from South Africa, and you're really building a whole new solution that's covering perspectives from all over the world. Now, if you're, the car wash guy that only wants to work in Cincinnati, we probably don't need your Portugal team on that. But if you're a global company, you know, this is a great opportunity as a global company to have new perspectives, not just a bunch of American marketers running out globally, or the other way around. I see a lot of like Japanese companies in particular trying to work with the US. Well, now they can get this holistic approach that has perspectives from all over the world to truly look global. I mean, that's why we did the series, because it is without borders. You can do everything now, and it's going to be a big adjustment to thinking about it. And some are easier than others. So in Portugal, you have a euro, which is
Yes.
very close to a dollar. I think it's like, is it like 20% exchange rate right now or something? So
Yes, I think about it. Yeah.
it's close. It's not like if you say, "Oh, my apple will cost 2,000 rand," and I have no idea what that means, right? So that makes it easier for us. Our economies are closer, so that makes it easier. But I do think that's another challenge. Do you work with other countries globally, like in Brazil or Peru or?
Well, no, we had a startup that we worked a few years ago in America, and we have a design company that we are doing some freelance works in UK. So it's not difficult. Truth be told, if you do it, if you follow a good plan, it's pretty easy to do because we speak the same language. Okay, so
Right.
it's easier. It's when you are doing design and you are building a communication campaign. If I'm working with Japanese, sometimes it can be harder, to, how can I explain you, to put on the brochure the message you want, because we do not understand the letters. We do not understand what we are writing. So when you look at it, you need to feel the message on a brochure, right? So
Right.
with English, with French, with Portuguese, for us, it's very easy to do. Okay. So the way we think that this can be solved, we have already some connections with members of BNI in other parts of the world. So and anytime a problem comes, we have that designer, imagine, in Japan.
Right. Right.
Someone that we can trust, that does the good work. So, it's not difficult. It's the other way around. It's pretty easy. We just need to have the right support from the right person. It's exactly what you were saying. You can think about a brand, and you don't need to think about it just in that place. Because I'm going to tell you a story that I remember from a marketing that I had before. We are fans of soup. We love soup.
Mm-hmm.
Then Knorr did a packaged soup that is sold in other countries. It came to Portugal. It didn't work because we like homemade soup. It's not that soup. That's a packaged one. So these are the things that we always need to think about. And when you are someone from the culture, you can sell, no, I would not eat that, and you can try it. You can see other perspective, not only our perspective. Oh, they like soup, so let's put some soup in packages that they'll eat. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that same concept of that culture piece also works with like names, because I know when Procter and Gamble would move, like, as I used to work for them, and you would have, say, Tide in the United States was a little detergent. Well, they would change the name. It's the exact same thing, but they would change it for Europe because what sounds like a harsh name. We want something that's lighter for our more environmentally friendly sounding. And I thought, it's just a name. But that really goes back to marketing again, how important it is to really understand the culture that you're working in, because that message can change everything. I think that's also why I work a lot with Japanese markets and marketing companies, because of what you said. It's even harder to turn that message into English. I mean, there's so many things in the Japanese language that are unspoken. So they have like a symbol, or they have letters, and everyone in Japan not only knows the meaning, but they know the feeling of everything that's associated with just a few different symbols. Well, then they change it into the words in English, And there's nothing wrong with it. It's not grammatically incorrect, but it completely lost the feeling of what it's supposed to mean. So it's no longer exciting, or it's no longer suspenseful, or it's kind of boring, something like that. So those types of things with marketing, it's really important to have a marketer like yourself that gets culture and has good trusted partners, so that even if it's not a culture that is yours, you can understand how it works, right? And the same for me. Like, I can help the Japanese people come to the American market.
Yes.
I can tell them the words they need, but I can't do that to Japan. Like, if somebody wants to go to a Japanese market, I say, let me find someone. I can't help you at all. But I think that's really important too, is to be able to recognize your limitations and where your strengths are, and to have trusted partners that you can share it with. So we did have a question from Rue. I apologize, I just saw it. He says, what about Angola and Mozambique? Does that make sense to you? It doesn't to me. Is Rue still there? It's probably when we were talking about something else.
Would you be talking about the
Portuguese influence, I guess? Is Angola has a heavy Portuguese influence.
Yes, it does. We had, let me check the translation for
were they colonies? I think it's a colony.
Yeah, colonies. Yeah, they were colonies from Portugal, and they have the PALOP, it's Portuguese spoken English, spoken Portuguese language. There are some countries that speak Portuguese around the world, you know.
Oh, okay.
And
so go ahead. Sorry.
that was what I was saying. That we have a few Portuguese PALOP. It's acronyms for African countries of Portuguese language. Okay, you know, and you have Angola, Cabo Verde, Guiné-Bissau, Mozambique, São Tomé and Príncipe, you know, that speak Portuguese.
Oh, and the question, Rue is still there. Good, I'm glad.
Not
I
yet.
See it pop up the first time. Not yet.
I don't work with them. I used to do, when I was in another country, a company. I used to work with Angola, if I'm not mistaken. It was an hotel, and we did a bunch of things. I would express them from here to there. You know, imagine brochures and things like that. We would send it to there. We did all the branding and the website and a lot of things to them. You know, but not yet.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, maybe Rue can connect you. He's a very well-connected guy.
And if he needs anything from Portugal, just let me know.
Oh, there we go. So this is a great question. I was just getting ready to wrap up, and Rue says, Angie, I'd like to have a one-to-one with Patricia. How can I request this? So Patricia, what is the best way for people to find you? How would you prefer to be found?
I'm on LinkedIn. It's my professional profile. So if Rui or anyone else wants to speak with me or do a meeting, you can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm also in Facebook, but LinkedIn, it's the professional best way, you know, because I know that when someone contacts you there, it's for professional reasons. So you can send me a request.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to put, now, obviously, this has all been posted on LinkedIn. So she's tagged in those, so it's easy to find her, but you can also find her here. That's her full LinkedIn profile is right there, so you can find her there, and she's connected to me as well. So if you have any questions or you want to be introduced, please let me know. And before we wrap up, so we know where to find you, we've learned all about food and wine and the wonderful landscape of Portugal and history. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the conversation?
The only thing I would like to add is that I'm really happy to be here with you. Thank you for this amazing invitation. You know, I'm really happy to know you, Angie. And, you know, I would really like to speak better like you do. You know, you can't seem to find. I'm thinking of things to say, and then you say this word and that word, and I should have said like that. You know, so thanks a million for the invitation, Angie. It's really, really nice to know you. And from the things that I have learned from you, you are an amazing professionalist. No, I'm trying to say something, but it's not going that
Professional,
well.
yeah.
Professional, yeah, it's a very professional. And if you need anything from LinkedIn, and if you need to learn anything from LinkedIn and how to use it, you can speak with Angie Snowball. She's amazing. I already did one meeting with her. I will do more for sure. And thanks a million again.
Oh, thanks, Patricia. I really adore you too. The more I meet with her, the more excited I am about what she does. And that's another reason I like doing these global things, is to let people everywhere know you don't have to just look inside your own country. There's some people that are just the right people that might not be next door. And now they are, because we're virtual.
Yeah.
So yeah, please reach out to Patricia. She's a lot of fun. And thank you for letting everybody know.
Thank you.
I do LinkedIn. Thanks for coming, and have a wonderful evening. Go enjoy the beach.
No, I cannot leave home.
Oh, that's right. You're
No,
still
right,
shut down.
yeah. Just one more day.
Okay, one more day. All right, cool. All right, well, have a great weekend. Great
You
week
too.
and weekend. And thanks again. Thanks everyone for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And join us again next week, where we are coming live from Scotland. So I hope to see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.